Welcome to today's episode of Family Fandom Talk, FFT, the show where we invite families, guardians, and a kid to talk about the latest fan stuff. My name is Emily, and this is my dad, Michael.
Thank you, Emily. And as usual, we're going to go over the rules here for our conversation. It's a family-friendly show, so there's no cursing. Shouldn't be a problem today. Parents and kids both need to be fans, so the idea is that it's a family conversation, so we want to have representatives of a family, both of the parents and of the kids, and we want both to be as into the conversation, at least be interested in the stuff we're talking about. The kids, the only big rule is that the kids just need to be old enough to be able to kind of sit around for about 45 minutes to be able to hold a conversation, to be able to have the subject. So probably not like smaller kids, but to me, I'd say anything from like 8 to 80. If we ever got a kid who's 80 and their parents who is 100, sure, that's great. And then the big one, number 4, is all opinions are valid. For a conversation to be good, I don't want this to be like a lot of the internet where people cut each other off or tell people they're wrong, or express an opinion and get spoken down. That should never happen here. If someone says something that's like a fact, you can correct the fact, but you should never be telling someone that their opinion or their feelings about something is wrong. Everything is all good. And so what are we talking about? What's the conversation? What's fandom? So fandom is the stuff that people are into. We haven't gotten into too much so far, but it can include books, it can include music, definitely comics. So far, it's mostly been movies and TV, but hopefully as we get more people in the conversation, we get additional families involved, we start moving into some other stuff as well. We're in episode 5, and I think we're doing pretty good so far, mostly on movies and TV. So since we are talking about new movies and TV shows, the big thing is that we will be doing spoilers. We're going to talk about new stuff that happened, this week. If a new movie comes out, if it's come out in the theater, if it's debuted on a streaming service, if it's been released, officially, we will consider it fair game to talk about. If you haven't watched it, that's okay. You might want to, wait. If you're watching the live stream, maybe wait until we're available, record it afterwards, and pause it and come back. We love it, if you watch us live, but I totally understand if you haven't seen everything that we're going to be talking about, to watch it in a recording later. Also, we're available as a podcast. So let's see. I think we'll go ahead and get started, and let's move on to the fandom news.
Fandom news!
Okay. Our first news item this week is we've been talking about some of the casting that they've been announcing about the Shazam movie that's planned to come out next summer. It's Shazam Fury of the Gods, and we've been announcing a lot of the casting on that because they're actually starting to shoot the movie, I think probably pretty soon here, definitely during the summer. And we announced a couple weeks ago, Helen Mirren, Dame Helen Mirren, had been announced as one of the villains of the movie. They've announced a second villain. Lucy Liu, actress, is now going to be playing a villain called Kalypso. I believe these are new characters, both the Helen Mirren character and the Lucy Liu character. They're supposed to be the daughters of one of the gods, Atlas, who's one of the names that makes up Shazam. My guess is because most of the Greek gods, when they mention sisters, there's usually 3. So my guess is that we've heard 2 of the announcements so far for 2 sisters who are going to be the villains. My guess is in the next couple days, probably we can expect a third announcement of some fairly well-known actress being announced as the third sister. This is purely a guess on my part, because they're supposed to be original characters, not directly from the comics that they're doing for the movie. But my guess is, now let's see who they pick as the third sister. What do you think, Emily? I know you really liked the first movie, and especially like the family aspect of it.
Yeah, I really like that all of them were basically Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
And that they all worked together to defeat the villain of the movie.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to get names. It's him and his whole foster family of kids who all become Shazam characters. In the comics, they were the Marvel family because his name was Captain Marvel, and then his sister was Mary Marvel, and then the brother was well, it wasn't a brother, but I mean it was the third member was Captain Marvel Jr., and then there were other kind of Marvels in there. So, and actually now that I think about it, they're all based on newer characters from the comics when they did a new redo of Shazam a couple of years ago and introduced the foster family and the other kids. So I'm wondering if what they called them in the comics. I may have to look that up because, in the first movie, they didn't get a chance to have anything to call each other. But the fact that we can't call him Captain Marvel, that's no longer the name anymore because Marvel firmly has that name for their character, Captain Marvel. It's no longer going to be the Marvel family. It's probably the Shazam family. So I'm curious what they're going to call each other.
Yeah, because I think a hard aspect about the movie was that he couldn't say the name Shazam without turning into Shazam.
Yeah, that at least was one of the easy things about it being, the character's name being Captain Marvel, is that, he could say Captain Marvel, people could call him Captain Marvel. He wasn't saying Shazam. Now that the character is called Shazam, what does he even say to call himself, because he can't say, call me Shazam. So
Savior of the world.
Right. I'll be curious to see, how they deal with that in the next movie. Okay. Do you want to move ahead on to the next item?
Yeah. J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams.
Abrams is producing a Star Trek movie that has not been named yet, but has a semi-date.
Yeah.
That's happening in June 2023.
Correct. Yeah. Paramount announced a whole bunch of shuffling of movies. A big thing was they moved like the Top Gun movie. They moved a bunch of their movies that were planned. A lot of the studios have been doing this because they're all trying to figure out when to release their really, really big movies that they've been holding on to and not releasing them in the theaters until enough of the theaters open up after COVID and after restrictions to be able to really make their money. So Paramount this week announced a whole bunch of reshuffling, and the big surprise when they announced where their movies were all going to be released in the next couple of years is they scheduled a Star Trek movie to come out in June of 2023, produced by J.J. Abrams, who either produced or directed the last 4 Star Trek movies, all the ones with the new kind of rebooted cast where it was all, the characters from the original Star Trek series now played by all new younger actors. We don't know yet if this next 5th movie by J.J. Abrams is going to include that same cast or if it's going to be an all-new cast. We have no idea. They haven't announced anything other than a date and that he's producing it. He's also been kind of bouncing back and forth because while he directed several of the Star Trek movies and then produced several of them, he also was bouncing over to Disney and directed episodes 7 and 9 of the Star Wars movies. I was leaving that for you to jump on through there. I know you've seen. No, that's okay. I know you've seen some of the Star Trek movies. You know your Star Trek reference at this point is Discovery. I mean, that's definitely like your Star Trek at this point. Although we did watch a episode of Next Generation this morning.
Yeah.
But so I mean, we're just curious to see at this point. Just the fact that it showed up on the schedule was a big surprise to everyone. That there'd been several talks over the last couple of years since the last J.J. Abrams produced Star Trek movie, what the next Star Trek movie was going to be. Several different creators had been announced as working on Star Trek movies, and none of them have happened so far. They've all kind of gone away, and those creators have all moved on to other things. So at this point, we don't know what the plans for a next Star Trek movie might be. So.
Yeah.
Okay, next story, moving on to a CW show that we do watch, Legends of Tomorrow. It actually has not started for this season yet. I believe the first episode of the upcoming 6th season is going to be the first week of May. The CW has already announced that they've renewed all of their superhero shows. All of their DC superhero shows have all been renewed for another season for next year, even with the crazy schedules of everything kind of delayed because of COVID and shows being on, shows being off, shows starting really, really late. I mean, it's May, and they're just now starting, this year of Legends of Tomorrow. Now, Legends of Tomorrow is usually a half-season show. It only lasts 13 episodes to begin with, and they've already, I believe, they're close to finishing, or I believe they're in the process of finishing filming the last episode of the 6th season. But all of a sudden, a whole bunch of Twitter posts showed up, or tweets showed up from the actor who plays Mick Rory, Dominic Purcell, or Heatwave is how he was originally. The comic book character was named Heatwave, but they've really barely ever used that name for him in the CW. They've really just always called him Mick. But he's been part of the Legends of Tomorrow since the beginning. He was a villain from Flash, almost from, I believe, from the first season. So he's been involved in the CW for a long time. And all of a sudden this week, he started putting a whole bunch of Twitter posts out, basically saying that he was not coming back, that his appearances in the 6th season was going to be the end for him doing this show. So we're going to have to see how that played out. It seemed like there was a bunch of conflicting messages. Like he came out with one message, and then afterwards he came out with another message that kind of changed what he was saying, and saying he might appear a couple of times. So at this point, I'd say it's a little bit up in the air for whether this actor is going to be around in the 7th season or not. But we know there is going to be a 7th season of Legends of Tomorrow. I just hope the 6th season is actually good. So I know we've enjoyed it. I mean, Legends of Tomorrow is really the wacky, fun show of the CW. It's really it was designed as the show that pulls characters from all the other CW shows, which are more serious for the most part in tone. And then Legends of Tomorrow is the one where just anything can happen, because they can go to any period in time. They can go to different dimensions. They just did a whole season, I believe, that was all about fighting demons and magic and stuff like that. So every season kind of has a different theme for kind of what they're going up against, whether it's different time periods, different dimensions, magical creatures. So with Legends of Tomorrow, all bets are off. Who knows what the whole next season is going to be? Who's your favorite legend?
My favorite legend. Well, I don't know the names of them. But
that's okay. It's been a while since it's been well over a year since we've had that CW show.
Yeah. My favorite is, I believe she is actually the captain of the ship.
Mm-hmm. Yep. White Canary or Sarah Lance. Yep, Sarah Lance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is they haven't used, a lot of the code names and stuff on there that much. Depends on the character. But yeah, I believe she originally was the original Black Canary on Arrow as that character, and then that character passed away and then came back and was kind of reborn. And when she was reborn, her sister had taken over, becoming Black Canary, and I think since then there's been several Black Canaries on the show, and she became the White Canary when she kind of switched over to Legends of Tomorrow, and then eventually became the captain of the ship and essentially the lead character of the show. Yeah. So she's your favorite.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like about her?
I like that she doesn't give up, and I don't really remember that much about her.
That's okay, but I notice a pattern there, is that your favorite characters are women who don't give up, women who are resilient and kind of keep the fight going.
Thank you.
I like the fact that
I don't know if that was a compliment.
It was.
Okay.
It was that your role model, your fictional character role models are women who don't give up, who are resilient. I like that she's in charge, that she is the captain of the ship, is the leader. She had to really earn the role and grow into the role and really have everyone on the ship accept her as the leader. So I like that about her. Yeah, go ahead.
I think all the people that I really like don't give up. Because my two real-life idols, to me, they do not give up.
Okay.
Ever.
Who are your real-life idols?
Emma Watson and Rosa Parks.
Okay. Those are good. Those are good idols. Yep. Emma Watson, because I know you've been very into the Harry Potter books recently.
And well, and also she was Belle in Beauty and the Beast.
That's right. Belle and Beauty and the Beast. Yep. So that's a good one. Okay, we're actually going to go to a comic story, which we don't do that much. We did one last week, but the Marvel Comics, they've been doing well, they haven't done it yet. They've been making announcements about a comic book that's going to come out this summer. It's a mini series that's going to be called The United States of Captain America, and the idea of the comic is that each issue is going to focus on a different regional character somewhere in the country that's not New York, not LA, not any of the major cities that have been featured in Marvel Comics before. They're kind of going to smaller cities around the country and showcasing original characters who are getting created, who are regular people, non-special powered people, but just regular, everyday, American people across the country in small towns who have been inspired by Captain America, and by that inspiration, come up with their own Captain America themed costume and way of basically protecting their own neighborhoods, protecting their own cities. And they announced the first one a couple months ago that's going to be in an issue in June, and that character had some special stuff there. And now this character is an African American girl, obviously. The character's name is Nichelle Wright. And I don't know much about it, other than the story and the pictures that have come out. But it'll be an issue that comes out in July, and she will be becoming the Captain America for Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So that's actually interesting. That it's just small town America, where just a regular person gets inspired by Captain America and decides to just do some good in their own hometown. Well, how do you like that idea?
I think that it's pretty cool that they're that they're looking at other people besides superheroes in Marvel Comics,
mm-hmm.
and seeing how their life is and how they were inspired by, in this example, Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how they want to protect their city.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I'm excited. I mean, we haven't really read a lot of current comics, but this is one that I'm definitely interested in. And then, if we didn't have anything more to say about that, did you want to announce the next story?
Yeah. The stepsisters from Cinderella are getting their own movie that is produced.
Mm-hmm. And written.
Produced and written by Kristen Wiig from last seen in Wonder Woman 1984, and Annie Mumolo.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've never actually heard her name. Annie Mumolo. Yeah, so they're partners who have worked on several movies together. They're both actresses. Obviously, Kristen Wiig is a big name actress. She's been on Saturday Night Live. Obviously, she was Cheetah on the last Wonder Woman movie, but she's done a ton of really big movies. She's a huge comedy star for the most part. And Kristen, or Annie Mumolo, I guess, is an actress as well. Hasn't been in stuff as big, but they also are a writing partner and producing partner. Who the one big movie they did was called Bridesmaids, which was an R-rated movie that is definitely not family friendly, but it was a huge successful movie that was all, it was all female stars, female cast, female writers and producers and everything, and was hugely successful. So Disney has hired the two of them to write and produce a movie about Cinderella stepsisters. Do you remember? I know you remember one of their names. Do you remember both of their names?
Drizella and Anastasia.
Okay, cool. So it's going to be kind of in the similar style or similar idea of the Cruella movie coming out, and the why can I never remember her name?
Maleficent.
The Maleficent movies, where it's kind of taking the bad guy character, or an evil character, or Disney villain. Yeah, Disney villain, and telling their story from their point of view and making a movie about them. So that's kind of the idea here. There's no timetable about when it's going to come out, whether it'll be a Disney Plus movie, whether it be a theatrical feature film. It's way too early to tell, but it's definitely something different. I know you've seen, I think you've watched animated films that focused on the two of them.
Well, I've watched one. I think there's actually two that focused on Anastasia. Mm-hmm. And we learned more about Gisela in Descendants when she had her daughter Dizzy. But we still don't know much about both of them. I believe that Anastasia got married, and we saw that Gisela had a kid. So, already have families?
Interesting. So yeah, I mean, I don't think none of that will count in terms of the story to this. I'm sure they're probably going to take their own original story. Probably the only thing that they're going to feel, any allegiance to or anything to kind of treat as what would be part of the story would be the original animated film and possibly the live action film from a couple years ago. That probably would be the official sources for the story here. I mean, anything else that's happened in cartoons, they wouldn't necessarily use that. But yeah, it'll be an original story, kind of like Maleficent. Where Maleficent still did tie into the into the Sleeping Beauty story there. And then obviously Cruella is tying into the 101 Dalmatian films that have come before, but it'll probably be primarily an original thing.
Okay, so if we're done with that, that's it for our news today. So on to...
Are you waiting for me?
Yes, I am waiting for you.
Our next segment, where we do reviews and commentary on stuff, which is called the Talk Time.
Talk time!
And we're back from that. Okay, so we did watch a lot of stuff this week. We watched a lot of CW shows. We watched a lot of Disney Plus shows. But the thing we almost always are going to be starting with right now, at least for another 2 weeks, is The Falcon and Winter Soldier. Is the big show, big MCU live action series right now on Disney Plus that we're talking about every week. This was a huge episode. This was the longest episode by far so far. It was 1 hour long. It covered a bunch of different stories. It didn't have, nearly as much crazy action. It had one action scene at the beginning, but the rest, it was not as much action as some of the other episodes. But it really was the episode that they needed to move the story forward, to really kind of take all the pieces of the story that we've had so far and bring them all together in the 5th episode, and then launch us into our big season finale, possibly series finale next week with episode 6. So what would you think about this one? Do you want to kind of talk a little bit about the story and what you remember on it?
Well, I was going to say that I could say that we got rid of 2 people in the story, but we only got rid of 1 for now.
Okay.
The other one is doing something big that I believe what is happening is what happened in the comics, as you told me. Okay.
Well, what would talk about? Instead of just being general about it, what were you talking about? The first thing, the person who we got rid of.
Baron Zemo.
Yeah. Yeah, he got taken away.
We got rid of him for now.
For now, yeah, we don't know. He may or may not appear in the next episode. Yeah, he had a confrontation with Bucky. Bucky, just to kind of show him who's boss and show him that he could shoot him, held a gun to his head and pulled the trigger, but then dropped the bullets from his hand and showed that, I could kill you if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. He is the better man. I liked the look on Zemo's face. It's the second time we've seen that Zemo was fully ready to die for the things that he's done. He did not flinch. He was ready for Bucky to shoot him and be okay with that decision on Bucky's part. And in the very end of the movie he first appeared in Winter Soldier, at the very end, he had actually tried to take his own life, and then Black Panther wouldn't let him. But then, yeah, Bucky, has him and gives him over to the Dora Milaje to take to Wakanda. So he will finally face justice from the Wakandans for assassinating their king.
Yeah.
Which was definitely the right thing for Bucky to do. And yeah, because I thought it was crazy last week that they had him and the Dora Milaje show up, and Bucky and Sam start fighting the Dora Milaje, which then allows Zemo to escape. It's like, really, you let Zemo escape like that? So yeah, so for now, Zemo. Go ahead.
Last week we were both screaming, "Somebody watch him! Somebody get him!"
Yeah, no, he like ducks into the bathroom and sneaks down.
He's escaping.
Yep.
Of course, they can't hear us because they filmed this a while ago.
Yes. Yeah, screaming
but
at the TV.
We can always help.
I was going to say, I'm not aware yet of screaming at the TV actually changing the outcome of the show, but can't hurt.
You do it a lot for football.
I do it a lot. Yes, it is not an unusual thing.
It does get annoying.
Okay, good to know. I will try to keep it down. It's still not as bad as when I watch football.
Yes.
So you were talking about the other thing was someone does something exciting that may follow what happens in the comics.
Yeah.
Sam.
I need help again. I need help again.
That's okay. Are you talking about Sam training?
No, not Sam. That's later.
Oh, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about last scene. I forgot his name.
Oh, you're talking about John Walker. Yes,
yeah,
the post-credit sequence. Yes, for anyone who watched the show, if you haven't been trained by now, it's been 13 years since the first Marvel movie. If you haven't been trained by now, always sit through the entire credits, please. We do it. I mean, even though, even if it's an episode of a show of the Marvel shows and we don't know that there's a credit scene, we still at least fast forward through the credits. We don't switch off from the show. We at least fast forward through the credits all the way to the end, just in case. In this case, they did the same thing that WandaVision did, which is they didn't do a post-credit sequence until like the last or the first to last episode. That's when they did a post-credit scene there. And then in the final episode, they did 2 post-credit scenes. So next week, watch all the way through. For anyone who watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier this week, if you did not stay through the credits, there was a mid-credit sequence that showed John Walker starting to build his own shield. He took his Medal of Honor and he incorporated his Medal of Honor into a shield that he's building, presumably to become what we know of in the comics. He becomes the character U.S. Agent. So probably a new costume, obviously a new shield. We don't know how that ties into the new character, the big cameo. This time, at least, they followed through on the big cameo. With WandaVision, towards the end, there was the conversation that Paul Bettany had said that a big actor who he always wanted to work with appears in the final episode, and the actor who he always wanted to work with was himself. It was Paul Bettany with Paul Bettany. So it was kind of a fake out there, and everyone was kind of wary about that when there was talk this week that there was going to be a really big name cameo. And then the big name cameo did actually happen. It was the actress Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who famous television actress, won multiple Emmy Awards. First for the series Seinfeld, and then for the series Veep in the last 10 years. She's won Best Actress at the Emmys multiple times. She appeared as Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Yes, we both got it right. Allegra de Fontaine, yes. We just watched a YouTube video on her. If you don't know about that character, go watch a YouTube video that says who is Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Big character from the comics. In the comics, she actually worked with Nick Fury at S.H.I.E.L.D. for decades, was his girlfriend, on and off kind of girlfriend for many, many times. Doesn't seem like that's the role she's going to play here. We don't know. I mean, she obviously represents some organization. She didn't tell us what organization, how they're going to play in later. I don't know. Is this going to not even factor into next week? Is it going to factor into 2 Marvel shows from now? Who knows how this is all going to tie together, But yeah, she came in guns blazing, making a big appearance, as this new character. You don't know who she is walking in, using all of her humor and everything, talking to John Walker and his wife, and who knows where that's going to lead us.
Yeah. I know I'm doing the yeah thing again, and
that's okay.
Every time
I do, yeah. Just hoping for more of your input. What did you think of the of Sam's training montage with the shield?
I thought it was pretty interesting. That's the first of the Marvel shows that has had a training montage, but it was only the second, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it wouldn't have necessarily made sense in WandaVision. It definitely makes sense here. Yeah. I can definitely see there being training montages, probably several of them in Hawkeye, because it's going to be Hawkeye training a new Hawkeye. There's also other newer, younger characters. I can see a lot of training sequences coming in Hawkeye.
Yeah, a lot of training montages.
Yeah, Loki probably not so much.
Yeah. He's not a training person.
No, he's not a training person. He's not a put in the work kind of person. But yeah, I mean, I really
he does not do physical work.
True. Yep. That is definitely not his thing. But I liked Sam's training montage. I liked that Isaiah Bradley's story, which we finally got, and we knew we would. I mean, as soon as I saw that the episode was entitled Truth. For people who don't know, the miniseries that Isaiah Bradley, the character, was introduced in was called Truth, Red, White, and Black. That was the secret history of Isaiah Bradley and the other Black or African American men who had been subjected to the super soldier serum in an attempt to recreate Captain America. And it told Isaiah Bradley's story over several decades. And that was the comic book that introduced the character. So as soon as I saw the episode was entitled Truth, like I know, I think when he first was introduced in episode 2, you would ask me, do we think he's even going to come back? I'm like, I really hope so, because we didn't really get his story. We just got the barest hint of what happened to him, and so now in episode 5 we finally got that full story, and I thought that was great, and the actor is so good.
I may be correcting a fact here.
Please do.
Now I sort of forgot the fact I'm correcting.
Here's what I found.
That was my watch.
Be on the phone. Oh, that's a watch.
That was my watch. Siri started asking me stuff.
Isaiah Bradley and the other people were they were tested before Captain America, I believe, because they had created the serum, but they needed someone to test it on first to make sure it was safe.
I think I might have told you that, and I think when I told you that I was wrong, because now that we've watched, like we watched an Isaiah Bradley video today that re-went over the comic, because it's been 15 years at least since I read the comic, that I think I had gotten that wrong. I mean, it had made sense either way, that they were testing it on the African American men to try it first before they gave it to Steve Rogers. I think I had gotten that from someone else and had heard it wrong. It was that they were trying to recreate the serum, and in trying to recreate the serum, that's when they tested it on other men, on African American men, as an attempt to recreate Steve Rogers. So you got that incorrectly from me, and I've since corrected myself.
Yeah, you corrected your fact.
Yes, I corrected my own facts on that, and thank you for pointing it out, because it's all good stuff for us to talk to our audience about. So, yeah, so the idea was, that they were trying to recreate the serum, so they did testing on a bunch of African American men, and they talked about it in the show when Isaiah told his story, and the fact that he was the only one who survived, he was the only one that it worked on, and then they spent decades, experimenting on him cruelly to try to see why he was the only one that it worked on. All a very sad story, but the fact that it was used as a way to kind of propel Sam forward, that you would think that Isaiah's words and telling him, that a black man should never want to be Captain America, it really, I think inspired him to say, yes, they did this to him and it was wrong, and the way black people have been treated has historically been wrong and continues to be wrong. So that why should a black man want to be Captain America? But that's exactly why he wants to be Captain America, is I think he wants to turn that around and say, what's the point of all the suffering and all the things he went through if we don't try to make it better, if he doesn't try to make it better and try to become the African American Captain America that Isaiah should have been given the opportunity to be, and the fact that Steve gave him the shield and chose him, it's now taken him this whole time and has been the growth of the show for him to realize Steve chose right, and for him to accept the legacy and to say he should be Captain America.
You almost quoted Sam.
Did I? Well,
yeah.
Good words from the writer there. Yeah, so I mean, all the training, and I found it interesting that, I mean, we don't know what's in the case. We can imagine what's in the case, that Bucky got as a favor from the Wakandans. Although I found that was interesting. Right after Io says to him, "Don't come back to Wakanda for a while. You're basically not welcome," after not having just given them Zemo right up front. He then asked for a favor. I don't know under what basis he was able to ask her for a favor at that point. I don't know why. There's no reason for her to do a favor other than story. Other than plot. I mean, that's the only reason, is because they needed to have a way to get Sam, what's in the case, which we can assume is a new outfit, and hopefully, his Captain America outfit. I do find it interesting that throughout the first 12 years of Marvel movies, 11 years, I guess, of Marvel movies, the way to get any technology for anyone was almost always Tony Stark. That if anyone got new technology, it was always because of Tony Stark. And now that Tony Stark's not around, that's not going to happen as easily. It's not just all of a sudden Stark Tech is going to show up and give someone an enhanced suit or anything like that. That the new version of Stark Tech is now Wakanda. That anytime new technology or any new stuff's going to show up, Wakanda is a really easy answer to make that happen. So that's the thing. There was really no reason for Io to want to do a favor for Bucky at that point, other than it gives us a reason in the story for Sam to get a new suit. Go ahead. I see the finger up.
Specifically Shuri.
Yes. Well, yeah. That's. I mean, obviously.
Shuri.
Yeah. That's. I would say. I mean, there's probably other scientists. Probably not everything is important enough for Shuri to be the one to work on it. So you would think she's probably not the only big brain in Wakanda. I think there's probably a whole team of people in Wakanda who have advanced scientific skills. It's not just Shuri, but yeah, I mean, that's, for something as big as a new suit for Sam, you would hope maybe it comes from Shuri. So, because yeah, she was definitely one of our favorite characters from Black Panther.
And Shuri means secret weapons, I think. I don't know.
I don't know.
There's always stuff. Well, the stuff that Shuri makes always has extra packed stuff.
True. Yes. Yeah. So I'm curious to see, what we're going to come up with next week. In the comics, when Sam became Captain America, it was a combination. His outfit was a combination of Falcon outfit, because it still had wings, with Captain America colors and the shield. We'll see what happens, next week. That really was a serious cliffhanger, actually double cliffhangers of what someone's going to look like next week is, Sam about to open the case, and let's find out, obviously he's going to have to head to New York to save the conference there that the bad guys are about to take over. And then we see John Walker starting to build his shield. So, we may be seeing the debuts of the new Captain America and U.S. Agent next week. So hopefully.
Yeah.
I think next week's going to be big. I hope it's at least the same length, because they really did pack a lot of story into an hour, because they had multiple lines of story. They had Kari's story, they had Bucky's story, they had Sam's story, they had John Walker's story. They combined Bucky's story with Zemo's story. They had a lot of different threads there, and Sharon showing up, and Sharon being the one to hire Batroc, or to get Batroc out of prison. So is Sharon good? Is Sharon bad? We don't know. Stay tuned for next week.
Yeah.
Definitely excited. Yep. So next week, final episode.
Yeah,
okay.
And then like a month to the next series.
That's true. Yep. Then a month for Marvel, because now that Black Widow is not appearing in May, We're not getting any Marvel at all. The next Marvel is going to be in June with Loki, and then Black Widow now in July. So really next month is really going to be, in terms of Disney Plus and kind of sci-fi fantasy kind of stuff, it's really going to be Star Wars. It's going to be the Bad Batch. So I would imagine...
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I would imagine for the month of
Again.
June, our premiere, the first thing we review is probably going to be the Bad Batch, if we're into it. I mean, we'll try it in the first episode and see. I mean, we liked Clone Wars. We've liked some of those shows, but I mean, it's not like our favorite thing. But let's see. I mean, I'm really hoping that we're going to get excited by the Bad Batch, and we really like it, and hopefully we'll review that for the month of June.
Yeah.
So moving on to a CW show.
You mean May. You mean May.
Oh, very correct.
You
Yes.
got confused.
I did get confused. I meant May. So moving on to Supergirl. We're keeping that poster that you like so much. So with Supergirl, this week a lot of stuff was happening. A lot of it was, with Supergirl in the Phantom Zone, we had the Phantoms, which was a new thing from the Phantom Zone. But we also introduced a new cast member. We introduced Peta Sargent as Ms. Nxyly, a fifth dimensional magical imp, just like Mr. Mxyzptlk. So she's now the newest representative of the fifth dimension. I liked how the way they Kara kind of trusted her was when she figured out, from what she was saying, that she was possibly a fifth dimensional imp. And then she mentioned knowing Mr. Mxyzptlk, and then, Miss Nxyly knew his nickname and could refer to him. So that, I think, is what kind of made Kara think, she could possibly trust her. I just still don't know that we can trust her. Is she going to be a good guy? Is she going to be a bad guy? We don't fully know. For people who haven't seen it, I mean, that's Kara at the moment is stuck in the Phantom Zone, and she's trapped, and her father got stolen, and the person who kind of rescued her was this new character, and I believe this character is now a new regular character throughout the rest of this season. So she's not going away. So she is definitely going to be a factor for the rest of the season here. What did you think about this one?
I really like Miss Nxyly.
Nxyly, I guess.
I really like her because of her powers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's cool how
magic.
Her power is how she does her magic is snapping, and how you can see the magic coming off of the snap. So
it was a great effect.
Yeah.
What'd you think about the good special effects on that one? Better than just on Flash, where every time someone uses super speed, they do an air cannon and someone's hair blows. This is how they show him always arriving and departing. So a little bit better special effects here. What did you think about the rest of the story? I mean, the rest of the story is still primarily, well, actually, it had been about them trying to get Kara out, but this time, they really couldn't focus on that, because at the end of the last episode, in their trying to get Kara out of the Phantom Zone, they allowed these new things, Phantoms, to come out of the Phantom Zone. They were able to beat what they thought was all of them back into the Phantom Zone, but one escaped and then hit itself in the body of one of the new characters. And so now we know that there's this new thing that, there's phantoms loose, on Earth, and they can actually possess people. And if they scratch them, that person becomes a phantom too.
Yeah.
They were pretty scary, I thought.
And they could only really save one of them, unless they find another way.
Yep. There's always another way. What did you think about all the interpersonal stories? Because that was the big thing to me, is I thought this whole episode seemed to be every single, almost every other scene was two characters talking about one character having a crisis of confidence, or not feeling, comfortable with who they are, or feeling like they've lost and they don't have any confidence anymore, and then another character convincing them. I mean, it happened at least 4 or 5 times during the episode. What did you think about that? About all those speeches between two characters?
I thought it was interesting that they weren't all meeting at the same time. They each had their own problems that were very similar. similar.
Yeah, they were all having the similar problems. I mean, they're all still reeling from Kara getting stuck in the Phantom Zone, and that's leaving them all kind of feeling without hope. Which I guess wasn't she the paragon of hope
Yes,
from
she
Crisis
was.
last year? Yeah, she was the
I
paragon
believe
of
she
hope.
was.
So her being gone, now all of our friends have lost their hope, and each character had to have someone else convince them back to get their hope back. I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, from one scene to the next. Were there any two pairings that you thought were like the best, or which characters did you feel like had the best kind of conversation that way?
I can't think of her name right now.
Which one? Describe. Kara's sister,
Alex and
Yep.
her girlfriend.
Her girlfriend. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Alex and her girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
They both had.
I'm trying to think of her name. I know she's supposed to be James Olsen's sister. I can't remember now, but yes. But go ahead. You liked the conversation between the two of them? It was Alex, basically
Alex feeling sad.
Yeah. Well, initially it was Alex feeling sad, but then I think it was the girlfriend feeling sad correspondingly. I think they each had to cheer each other up.
They had two.
And then John and McGon.
Yes,
yeah, it was John and McGon. It was John and Alex.
And then there was also Brainy and
Lena. Yep. Yeah, because Brainy was ready to kill Luthor. I mean, they made a big point of several episodes now that his big thing has been to want to kill Luthor or to kill Lex, and then Lena actually had to talk him down. Like he was building Lena up to wanting to kill him too, and then Lena had to be the one. Our former potential villain had to be the one to stop and say, look, no, I don't want him dead. I don't want to kill him. If I do that, then I'm going to be the worst version of myself.
Yeah, like she was before Crisis.
Yep.
When Lex brought himself back.
Let's see. Did you have anything else kind of about this week? I mean, it left with Kara and Ms. Nxyly having rescued her father, and then now that they've got her magic, having the possibility of escaping the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, like the very last scene was Nxyly's snap, and then you see the magic, and then the end logo. Yeah,
that's our cliffhanger. Was they left that and then went straight to the Supergirl logo. So you're looking forward to next week.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I really like Nxyly.
I think we're pretty close to the end of this run of episodes. I think this week's episode may be the last one before Superman and Lois comes back.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think Superman and Lois are coming back the first week in May. So we'll see. If we're
same week that Legends of Tomorrow.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think
it's
all. Yeah, I think it's all.
I hope it's not another Tuesday show.
Well, I think Flash isn't going anywhere. So I think the idea is Flash stays on Tuesday, and it just stays paired with the Super show, whether it's Supergirl or Superman and Lois. So I think it's still Flash and them. My guess is they might put it on Mondays, maybe with Black Lightning, because Black Lightning really just started back up again. So my guess is they might pair, because I don't think it's going to Sundays with Batwoman. So my guess is I'll have to look on the schedule, but my guess is that
they're pairing them.
My guess is it's going to be Black Lightning paired with Legends of Tomorrow on Mondays.
And maybe they probably won't have a bunch of them, like 6 of them going on at the same time. But
well, yeah, because Supergirl will be going away. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted.
It's okay. I was going to say that if Stargirl comes before one of them stops, then Batwoman would be paired with Stargirl, probably.
Possibly, because I don't think Batgirl's or Stargirl, I don't think they've announced a start date of it yet. I know it's supposed to be over the summer. So I guess it depends on like how long these shows have, if they did full 22 episode seasons, or are they doing shorter seasons. I think it's entirely possible they might be doing shorter seasons because of COVID, and then try to start the new season in the fall on a regular schedule. So I don't know. We'll have to look in future weeks, like, before a future episode. We'll go through that and kind of look at the starting dates for that and try to figure out, when the current seasons are going to run through. And a lot of it is that they still haven't announced it because they still have problems. I mean, like we've talked about with other shows where, while they're filming, if there's a COVID case on the set, they shut down for like 2 weeks. So that delays filming. So, my guess is that they're probably going to do shorter seasons this year so that they can start the next season at the regular time in the fall and try to get a normal set of seasons next year. But we'll have to see.
I hope it's not all at the same time, because that's too many shows.
Well,
and once they all finish their season, then we'll have nothing to
nothing.
watch.
There's nothing. Yeah, well, during the summer, I know there's going to be Stargirl. They're keeping that as a summer show. And then Legends of Tomorrow, at least for the last couple of seasons, has always been a mid-season show. So because it's only 13 episodes, they've almost always waited and not had Legends in the fall and started Legends of the Fall. Joke that only parents will get. Have Legends not in the fall, but have Legends, pretty much almost always only starts in the spring in January. So you wouldn't have all of them back in the fall anyway.
Yeah.
And then, we'll have to see what happens with Supergirl going away, with Black Lightning going away. There's several pilots. I mean, there's the Powerpuff Girls pilot, so that might fit in there. There's the Naomi pilot. So Naomi and Powerpuff Girls, or
I forgot about those.
Yeah, so if those come on the CW next year, that I'll have to say, it's like we've got too many good shows. Yeah, we've got too many good superhero or sci-fi fantasy related shows to watch. I don't think that's too bad of a problem to have. Okay, did you want to talk about one more show, or did you kind of feel done?
I kind of feel done.
Okay.
We're almost to an hour.
We are, but I was going to mention that we have been watching another Disney Plus show that just premiered on Friday. We can just barely mention it, just say that the show Big Shot premiered. I mean, we've been continuing to watch The Mighty Ducks, and we do like that show, but this new show just premiered with John Stamos on Friday. That's about a college basketball coach who gets in trouble, and then the only job that he can get is coaching for a private girls' school. It's like an elite school, so it's like all athletes who have the potential to go to college and be basketball stars and stuff, and it's him having to come in and figure out how to work with them. So we did watch it. I think we both liked it. We don't have to do a full review on it or anything, but just kind of mention that we're still watching Mighty Ducks, we're still watching Big Shots. Big Shot, you're right. Thank you for correcting me.
I corrected a fact.
Yes. I can imagine I'm probably going to keep making that mistake because I think it's too easy to say Big Shots instead of Big Shot. But okay, so I think this was a great conversation. I liked that we tried to narrow down the number of reviews. I felt like it was kind of feeling a little bit stretched out by trying to review too many things, having too many news stories. So we tried to do something a little bit different this week and really kind of keep down the number. And we also rewatched the shows prior to the show, so it was more fresh in your mind and my mind to be able to review them. I really like how that worked out. I thought this was a kind of a better show than we've done some of them in the past. I mean, out of 5, I think we're doing pretty good so far. But thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing you again next week when we talk about all new stuff. And look for us wherever you can do podcasts, and we're available everywhere online. And then, Emily, do you want to take us out?
Sure. Subscribe and leave a like.
Thank you. See you all next week.